The story unfolds in Atarashia, within the kingdom of Rogius, where the students from the prestigious Sistol Royal Academy gather at the gates, exchanging parting words with their instructor. The teacher reminds them to stay safe on the road ahead. Among them stands a boy who is secretly a streamer. After the farewells are done, he returns home. Upon arrival, he immediately senses that the moment has come to begin another stream. With excitement, he greets his listeners and asks about their day. Grateful messages flood in. He reads the chat, realizing it's time for the consultation segment. The first letter is from Akuta, a B-rank adventurer. He complains that a new party member who only used support magic detection and weapon repair was too useless, so he kicked him out and found it amusing when the man cried. Kanata responds with calm seriousness, questioning whether he has lost his mind. He explains that detection magic prevents ambushes and weapon repair skills eliminate the need for blacksmith visits. He presses further, pointing out how valuable those abilities are. He finally becomes angry, accusing him of acting superior, adding that if Akuta ever finds himself in danger, it will be because he had no support magic to rely on. He advises him to resign now if he lacks judgment. Otherwise, he'll watch his party die. Viewers begin urging Akuta to apologize. Afterward, Kanata wonders whether his words had any impact. At the very least, he hopes Akuta doesn't die early. Still baffled that someone like him is watching the stream, he sighs and moves on. The next letter comes from a young man from a noble family. He's engaged but has fallen for a cute transfer student and is thinking of leaving his fiancée. Reading this, Kanata becomes irritated. With visible frustration, he curses the writer and wishes the girl ends up marrying him instead. He scolds the boy for being thoughtless and warns him not to choose based on appearances. He reminds him how lucky he is and confesses he too wants a girlfriend, calling the boy a fool. Everyone from simple households to the king and his royal guards in the palace, as well as foreign species, are listening and enjoying his commentary. Wrapping up the session, he tells everyone they'll meet again tomorrow. Quietly, he reflects on what streaming must have felt like in his past life. He confirms what many might have suspected. His real name is Kanata, and he is a transfer student. The next day, the instructor stands before the class explaining how imagination shapes magic. Kanata, standing among the students, reflects on how much time has passed since his reincarnation into this world. He recalls the thrill of discovering magic, but now it feels ordinary. After all, he possesses unlimited power. He remembers being a 4-year-old who realized early on how this power would affect his life. He took the classification exam and achieved S rank, gaining admission into the Royal Academy, an elite institution for nobles and the most gifted commoners. As he sits in contemplation, several students confront him. They speak with disdain, mocking his background, and reminding him that refined commoners are not welcome. They tell him his status cannot change. Kanata chooses to respond with composure, suggesting they ask the teacher. His response angers them. One grabs his collar, demanding clarification. At that moment, the teacher intervenes, asking what they're doing and reminding them it's time to perform, not argue. A girl arrives late, Maria Atarashio. The teacher gently acknowledges her, asking if she was busy with housework. He reassures her that no one is blaming her. Maria thanks him. The teacher asks her for her opinion and suggests she demonstrate magic. Before she can respond, another student steps forward and insists on going first. He mocks Kanata for his S rank and declares he will hit the target with fire magic and show true magic. The teacher tells him to use his full power, assuring him that a barrier is in place. The boy attacks with a sharp blast, hitting the target effectively. Impressed, the teacher then calls on Kanata. Stepping forward, Kanata fires his magic, which lands explosively. The students are left speechless. Kanata realizes he may have gone too far. The teacher praises his display. The class begins murmuring, claiming they don't feel like performing anymore. The teacher calmly moves on to individual training. Frustration grows among the students. They whisper that someone like him is just a commoner who must be hiding something. Maria intervenes. She tells them that social status doesn't matter, and that his abilities are clearly special. She explains that unique talents often lead to success in examinations. Her words humble the students. She then walks up to Kanata, complimenting his magic. He thanks her, surprised. When their eyes meet, he realizes she is Maria, the youngest princess of the royal family. As others begin to stare, he grows uneasy. Maria speaks again, telling him he must be wondering why status still causes such division. She whispers something so quietly that Kanata asks if she really said something, But Maria offers no answer and walks away. She advises him not to provoke others out of anger. He reflects on how it was the students who provoked him. Later that night, at home, he gathers his listeners and announces he's ready to stream again. He asks if anyone faced trouble at work or school. As he observes, he remembers that his device was once a standard terminal. He had to modify it heavily. Even here, a connected network exists, but most lack access to tech or entertainment. So he created something akin to a streaming site using his power. He knows that others would quickly exhaust their power trying to stream. His thoughts return to the day's events, and the tension between nobles and commoners continues. He wishes for unity, though he knows the divide sustains the system's order. His fellow chat has a mixed opinion in this regard. Suddenly, a message appears from someone called Anonymous Princess. She says his voice made her happy. The chat notes the message's color, marking it as a core fan message. He is surprised. The message is thanking him. 10 gold coins have been transferred to him. Kanata is thrilled. He thanks her, then asks seriously if she also sent something yesterday. He remembers that 10 gold coins equal about 100,000 yen. Other chatters tease that her parents' wallet must be empty, typical of a hardcore fan. He grows suspicious. He asks whether she's stealing money from her parents. She replies that the money is hers. Then she says that if he wishes, he can consider her a romantic candidate. He thanks her and says that he would accept if he ever gets the chance. On the other hand, the princess can't contain her emotions. She realizes she's fallen for him. Whilst he moves on to another letter, she's deeply in love with him, checking their phone in restless admiration. She reflects on his mysterious nature. He appeared like a blazing star, drawing people in. He has helped others sometimes gently, sometimes decisively. She sees courage in him, someone who accepts ignorance, criticism, and suggestions without hesitation. She kisses her phone, feeling his voice sink into her mind. Every part of her being now belongs to him. Her support isn't limited to money. She wants to dedicate herself completely to him. She exists for him. This is but one of many devoted fans among Atarashia. Others like her will emerge intense and dangerous in their passion, and so far he remains unaware of the catalyst that will bring them face to face. The event begins from here. This world belongs to Kanata, a reincarnated boy who hides his limitless magical power behind the facade of an ordinary student. In this new world, he continues streaming as the only one of his kind. Despite the strict academic grading system, he maintains consistency. Each day, an anonymous princess sends him 10 gold coins that sustains his daily life and helps him remain a guiding voice for his listeners, a role that quietly shapes his future. As the scene shifts to a street, Kanata chooses the less crowded path home. He walks quietly, reflecting on recent days and the reactions from others. Many wonder how someone so seemingly ordinary could achieve such good grades. Some call it luck. Since that magic incident, everything has become more complicated. To lift his mood, he decides he'll stream again today. While walking, he notices a man confessing seriously to Maria. The man declares his love, but she gently apologizes, saying her heart already belongs to someone else. Kanata watches silently, curious about who this someone could be. The man asks if it's her fiancé, given that she is the third princess, but she calmly replies that she's free to choose her own love. She adds that she already wishes to give herself to someone. Heartbroken, the man walks away crying and cursing the one who won her heart. Kanata finds himself thinking that Maria is exactly his type. Her beauty, elegance, and large chest come to mind. He sighs, wondering what kind of person her partner must be. Choosing to avoid the situation, he takes the longer route home. Just then, Maria calls out, accusing him of eavesdropping and saying she saw his shadow. Startled, he quickly apologizes, explaining that it's his usual path. She reassures him with a calm tone that she's only joking. Relieved, he thanks her and hurries away. Watching him leave, she finds his voice strangely familiar, though she convinces herself it must be her imagination. Upon returning home, Kanata begins his stream, greeting his viewers with excitement and saying he made them wait. Maria, watching, confesses to herself that she had been waiting. She repeatedly tells herself that she loves him and that hearing his voice brings her joy. Blushing, she realizes how different she is now from the graceful beauty she was earlier. She sends him a large donation of gold coins. Kanata is surprised by the amount and expresses his gratitude, reminding his viewers to take care of themselves first, or he'll feel guilty as the one who built the system. Maria watches proudly, knowing she's the one who supports the streamer. Confident, she silently tells him to keep his eyes on her. Meanwhile, he announces he is opening the first letter of the day. She begins paying closer attention. The letter talks about demons. Kanata exclaims how everyone believes they should be eradicated, but he doesn't understand why. He wonders whether peaceful coexistence is truly impossible. Admittedly, he's never met a demon, but is confident some might be good. The viewers begin reacting with questions and thoughts. After a pause, Kanata responds that even among humans, there are many who want peace, while others accuse demons of savagery yet commit horrors like slavery and discrimination. Hearing the mention of slavery, Maria feels a sting of recognition. She remembers visiting a slave market with her servant, Sebas. Inside, she saw cages filled with pleading slaves, children, the elderly, desperate people begging for mercy. They couldn't understand why someone so well-dressed was there. Sebas reminded her of her education. She asked seriously if slavery wasn't a thing of the past. Sebas suggested they leave, but she instead went under a tree and cried. She asked whether nothing could be done. Sebas admitted he didn't know, but mentioned hearing about a streamer who gives advice. He handed her a device. The name felt familiar to Maria. Sebas told her that if she truly wanted to do something, asking the streamer might be a way. Meanwhile, Kanata opens the next letter. It's from an anonymous princess who wants to abolish slavery. Surprised, Kanata reflects on the fact that slavery still exists. He tells viewers that slaves are human beings, and taking their freedom is one of the worst crimes. Comments pour in as he reminds everyone that, while he may lack social standing, a princess might be able to act. He expresses hope, encouraging her to show the resolve to bring hope to those suffering. He wonders aloud whether she really is a princess. After hearing this, Maria orders Sebas to prepare the carriage. She heads to the palace to speak with her father. As a result, a nationwide movement begins, leading to the complete abolition of slavery. Strict measures are established to prevent its return. Maria resolves to always trust the one who showed her the way and to stand by him. She decides to work as a mediator between nobles and commoners at the academy, recognizing discrimination as a barrier to peace. Meanwhile, the viewers start arguing in the chat, expressing a desire to date the streamer. Maria becomes furious, dismissing their words as meaningless. She sends another large donation under the anonymous princess identity, convinced she is the only one worthy of him. Kanata, noticing this, warns the anonymous donor that he dislikes troublemakers. He's grateful, yet he makes it known that he won't deal with emotional chaos. Maria, thinking he is angry at her, begins crying. Kanata tells her he will forgive her if she understands and reminds her to behave. She admits she is still immature, but promises to do better. He then adds that harmony with demons is important as well. After all of this, he wonders aloud what the Demon King might be like, and asks if anyone knows what he looks like. The viewers quickly urge him to drop the topic. Still, as a streamer, he remains curious, questioning whether a world where humans and demons live peacefully is possible. At that moment, another letter arrives. It says the writer knew how different the streamer was, but this is too much for them. Now, they too will begin thinking ahead. Unknowingly, Kanata has touched upon a forbidden subject in this world. Sometime before his controversial statements, the demon queen Shruza is fighting humans, calling them boring and saying they aren't even worth the effort. She tells them to return only when they're stronger. Her subordinates shout that humans call her more powerful than even S-Class, warning that they shouldn't dream of challenging her. But in the midst of it, Shruza begins to question the centuries of conflict. She can't understand if this endless fighting is truly the right path. When she appears, her companions gaze at her with longing, struck by her beauty and power. Yet Shruza herself begins to wonder what the point is in questioning things long accepted as common sense. Her companions approach and tell her that the adventurers who were here earlier left something behind. They play a voice for her on a device. The moment she hears it, she's shocked and left wondering who this person is. Her companions laugh, explaining that listening to this voice has become popular lately, and that's what people say about him. But they note that there's no signal in their current location. Shruza listens calmly, then says it might be useful for information gathering and instructs them to build something that can access the signal. Obeying her order, they leave. She feels that at the very least it will help pass the time. Her companions go off, saying they'll inform the others. A few days later, when they finally establish a connection, His voice plays through the device. He's streaming, asking viewers what they ate that day and sharing that he had egg toast. Shruza says to herself that she had meat which was too heavy for breakfast. Then she wonders why she's even responding. He's not going to reply. Still, she tells herself she's just passing the time. Her subordinates begin to notice how she feels about him and how his calm voice has become part of her daily life. She can't understand what he is. His voice spreads everywhere, and he holds massive magical power, more mana than she does. As a streamer, he fascinates her. Then his voice comes through again, asking why humans and demons fight. He says it only results in corpses and meaninglessness. Hearing that, she jolts, dropping her cup, wondering if he truly thinks like that. He says leaders should talk about peace, then casually shifts to asking what he should eat for dinner. Shruza starts smiling. From that moment, she begins to see him as a companion and starts giving him more of her attention. Kanata keeps telling his viewers that he's happy for their support, but they should also take care of themselves. She feels that this much is enough. She declares she'll become his personal wallet. In moments like these, she starts feeling truly happy. Like a certain other princess, she fully transforms into a yandere. Hearing about things like slavery and discrimination, her emotions stir. Large donations begin appearing under the name Nameless Princess. Her companions, sensing her frustration, inquire if anything happened. She quietly says it's nothing. Suddenly, the situation begins troubling Kanata as well. He tells his viewers that getting along with demons matters, and they already know it. Then he wonders aloud what the Demon Lord even looks like. He asks if they want to know too. Shruza becomes overwhelmed, beginning to mutter seriously to herself, wondering if he really wants to see her. Viewers' comments flood in. One is saying he's interesting and they'll try to stay positive. He asks if they're now mimicking the Demon Lord and says he would love to meet. Hearing this, Shruza is filled with emotion. He ends the stream saying he has something urgent to look into and asks for help. With that, she goes to the bath, still thinking about him. She reflects, calling him a faceless child of humanity whom she desires. She mutters that as the Demon King. She is a ruler of countless beings. However, if it is him, she has no objection to him ruling over her body. Her thoughts grow clearer, and she realizes that the time has come, her longing has reached its peak. One of her companions arrives and seriously asks if she feels dizzy. Shruza reassures her, saying the water is just warmer than usual. Her companion insists that it's the same as always. She silently wishes to meet the streamer. She starts thinking about what she must do to make that wish come true. She wants to see his face, to touch him with her hands, to hold him in her arms. At the same time, she realizes he lives in the human world. As the Demon Queen, she resolves to offer him everything. She mutters to herself, wondering if he will fulfill her every desire, as she uses the magic warp. Suddenly, the city erupts in noise. As Kanata wakes up that morning, everyone urges him to check the news. They hand him a newspaper and tell him the demons have submitted a request for a non-aggression pact and a ceasefire. The article says the Demon King has put forth a truce. The people are talking. This is exactly what the streamer had said earlier. They assume that even the Demon Lord might have been listening. They start to marvel at just how significant this streamer is. Citizens learn of rumors that he is being marked as an important figure by every nation. All of this is hidden from Kanata. He doesn't realize his fame is spreading even to places unknown to him. He is unaware that a single word from the streamer can change the world. A new day begins, where after considerable effort and hard work, he finally succeeds in completing a project. Satisfied, he decides to share it with everyone later. Feeling hungry, he heads out into the city, thinking that spending his day off like this isn't so bad. While eating, he finds the taste excellent and enjoys the meal. As he continues walking, he comes across a man scolding a woman for spilling sauce on his clothes. The man angrily questions her behavior, pointing at the stain on his shirt and telling her to be more careful. The woman apologizes, but the man remains furious, demanding compensation. People nearby begin accusing the man of being a scammer, suggesting he did it on purpose. Kanata feels uncomfortable watching the situation and notices that there are no soldiers around. He begins to wonder if he is expected to act. Though such matters are often troublesome, he understands that doing nothing would be worse. He steps forward and calmly tells the man that the woman only bumped into him and that his reaction is excessive. He tries to reason that it's not as if she injured him. The man turns to him with hostility, asking what he wants. Sensing the tension, Kanata maintains a serious tone and suggests that the man, being older, should simply let the matter go. In anger, the man raises his hand toward him, but Kanata catches and twists it. Despite his thin arms, the man feels overpowered. Panicked, the man claims he's late for work and runs away. Kanata calls after him, reminding him he could at least apologize. He then turns to the girl and asks what happened. She explains that his voice just sounded familiar. He is surprised and wonders if she might be one of his listeners. He briefly considers the possibility of a romance, but quickly dismisses it as a misunderstanding. He advises her to head home before something like this happens again, but she replies that it's nothing, and explains that she could have handled the situation herself, though she might have hurt the man badly. Hearing this, Kanata seriously asks if she is one of those people who hide their strength. She doesn't understand what he means, but thanks him for his kindness, noting that he's a stranger whose name she doesn't even know. He smiles and says there's no need for formalities. Helping a pretty girl simply improves his mood. She responds that many others are prettier than her. He thinks to himself that if that's true, then the standard in this world must be far too high. He finds it a bit frightening. The girl notices the bandage on his hand and asks about it. He recalls it's a bruise he got while cleaning yesterday and tells her it's just a sprain that will heal soon. She expresses concern and tells him to be careful. He remarks that she's a good person, unlike the boys at the academy. Suddenly, the girl pulls back slightly. He doesn't understand what he said wrong or why people react this way to him. She tells him it's not like that and asks if he assumed she was younger than him. He admits he did and asks if he was mistaken. She clarifies that she thought they were the same age and says she turned 17 this year. He realizes they are the same age and apologizes. She tells him not to worry and says she's used to it. She adds that her body has matured properly now and invites him to take a look. Startled, he begins to walk away. She tells him it's normal for her, and he replies that he understands, though he finds her personality strange. She asks for permission to leave and says that if the opportunity arises, they'll meet again. He agrees and walks away, reminding her to be mindful of her surroundings. As he leaves, he remembers that she had a cross with her and wonders if she might be a sister in training, but decides it doesn't really matter. The girl returns home and announces her arrival. She is warmly welcomed, but the others mention they heard she was caught in a scammer's trap. They express their concern and say it's unfortunate. With seriousness, they tell her that if more people knew her true identity as the Saintess, such incidents wouldn't happen. They remind her how important and irreplaceable she is for the kingdom, and that sometimes she plays a crucial role in international negotiations. She responds by reminding her that all humans are equal and that they should hate the sin, not the sinner. A woman nearby reflects on how merciful the Saintess truly is. Entering her room, Saintess thinks back on the day's events. Despite the troubling incident, she realizes she also met someone kind and courteous. She recalls how similar their voices were, enough to leave her wavering between certainty and doubt. She turns on his stream, checking to make sure she's alone. He appears and apologizes to viewers for the wait, saying it's time to read their letters. Hearing his voice, she feels joy that the divine voice of the streamer has returned. She realizes that she, the Saintess, is also one of his devoted listeners. She now understands how wonderful his voice is. She knows there may be reasons behind her mild obsession, but simply put, she likes his voice. Others in the church begin to leave the room, stepping out with thoughts of how calm and composed the Saintess always is. It truly amazes them. Alone now, she sits quietly, deeply affected by the streamer. She wonders why his voice is so beautiful that she purifies her body each day, just in case she has to offer herself to him someday. She's always thought of herself as calm, but now she feels as though his voice stirs something deep within her. It feels overwhelming, as if just by hearing his voice, she might become pregnant. At that moment, the streamer starts reading and says he can show his hand now. He asks the viewers if they're watching. Seeing the wound on his hand, the Saintess is struck with shock. She can't believe it. To her, it feels impossible. She begins to question herself, unsure if he is truly the same person she met earlier today. Kanata activates the magical camera he completed earlier that morning and asks his viewers if they can see him. He cheerfully explains that the device is meant to show his hands, and after checking the feed on his end, he finds it working well. However, he quickly realizes that his injury hasn't healed yet, and the bandage is still necessary. It occurs to him that he should have worn gloves to avoid the risk of revealing his identity, but he dismisses the thought, reasoning that no one could identify him just by looking at his hands. Elsewhere, the Saintess stares at the screen, stunned. Recognition strikes her with overwhelming certainty. Shiroza watches too, growing anxious and deeply unsettled by the sight of his hand, uncertain of what happened to it. Messages flood in from viewers expressing concern and asking about his condition. He answers seriously, telling them he was merely being clumsy earlier that morning. He advises everyone to be cautious around objects placed on high bookshelves. Then, returning to a lighter tone, he explains that while today marks the camera's debut, he plans to use it whenever he introduces something new. Concern continues to pour in through the comments, with viewers expressing a desire to visit him. He is surprised by how emotional everyone becomes just by seeing his hands, but he moves on and announces that he will start reading the letters. 2 hours pass. Kanata remarks that today's stream feels especially enjoyable because of how lively everyone is. As he picks up the next letter, a strange feeling unsettles him. It doesn't read like a typical fan message. Soon he realizes that it's a threat. The letter introduces the sender as Mantis, the leader of the Thieves Guild. He declares that he neither knows nor cares about the stream, but finds it infuriating. He writes that pests like him make his skin crawl and threaten to find and kill him painfully. He tells him to live the rest of his life shivering in fear. Kanata responds calmly. He reflects that this kind of hatred likely comes from envy or deep-seated animosity toward his existence. He acknowledges that he earns money by streaming while hiding his identity, so he understands why some might resent him. Even so, he makes it clear that such threats are unacceptable and punishable by law. Without lingering on it, he proceeds to the next letter. He cannot help but think what would happen if someone threatened a streamer, even as a joke, and questions how much power loyal viewers truly have. Mantis clearly didn't know the answer to either question. Hours later, Mantis moves through the streets. But Kanata's viewers don't stay silent. They confront him directly, their presence fierce and resolute. He attempts to assert himself, expecting fear or awe, but instead is met with immediate aggression. He cannot comprehend why they've come for him, and he's quickly forced to retreat. Humiliated and seething, Mantis blames everything on Kanata. While cursing him inwardly, he stumbles and falls. Knights and saints surround him, criticizing his arrogance and questioning whether he ever had the ability to pose a real threat. They warn him to stop making things worse. Enraged, he shouts back. Among the followers, the demons comment that had they known humans would arrive first, they wouldn't have bothered showing up. Mantis, now shaken, asks them who they are. They remind him that he already knows they are here to deliver judgment. They then reveal the truth. They are believers of the streamer. Coldly, they inform him that it's time to die. They question how he ever thought he could kill him and express pity that such hopeless fools still exist. They announce that they are now passing formal judgment. These people, though perhaps lower in rank than their superiors, are still terrifying in their own right. From Mantis's perspective, what happens next is a mix of his own doing and pure misfortune. It becomes a chilling example of the dangers that lurk within the online world. Next day, people read the news in disbelief. Reports confirm that Mantis was tracked down by those same individuals. Citizens begin speaking with renewed respect about the Royal Knights. As Kanata hears the name Mantis mentioned again, he feels a strange familiarity. Just then, someone passing by drops a handkerchief. Kanata politely points it out, but the person glares at him and walks away without a word. The cold dismissal stings. He realizes that even average students have started ignoring him. He begins to wonder if he went too far that day. The isolation weighs on him, and he starts to resent his lonely life at school. Around him, conversations buzz. People mention the unusual amount of noise and speculate about a teacher meeting held that morning. Soon after, a faculty member enters the classroom and instructs everyone to take their seats. Kanata notes that the man seems drained of energy. The teacher announces a temporary addition to the class. The entire class erupts in excitement. He explains that the new student is a figure of great importance to the capital and has a close relationship with the royal family. Though she has never appeared in public before, she has chosen this moment to reveal herself. He warns everyone to behave appropriately. Then he calls for her to enter. A girl walks in, greets the class, and introduces herself as Alfana. Though young, she holds the title of Saintess. Kanata stares in disbelief. None of the students can believe that the Saintess has enrolled in their class. Excited voices fill the hall as they begin running to catch a glimpse of her. Even those in different classes come rushing in. Watching the growing commotion, Kanata senses that rumors must have already started spreading. All the classmates gather near the entrance to see her in person, each of them expressing how they've always wished to meet her. Everyone finds her breathtakingly beautiful. Seeing the situation unfold, Kanata realizes he had expected something like this to happen. The girls begin to ask Alfana why she chose this academy. She calmly responds that it's something akin to societal observation, though she adds that, in truth, she has another goal in mind. As Kanata watches her speak, memories from his childhood surface of reading about this world to understand it better. He remembers learning that once every few decades, a person is chosen who possesses both mana and a personality suited for a saintess. She is someone of great significance. He realizes she is likely close to Princess Maria and also holds the full authority of the church. Her diplomatic skills and strong relations with the royal family add to her stature. Kanata is stunned to realize that the girl he bumped into earlier is the same transfer student, but then he wonders why someone like her isn't placed in the SSS class. He feels grateful that she forgave him during their first encounter. Still, he doubts she even remembers his face. Just then, a student pushes forward rudely through the crowd. He introduces himself as a member of the SSS class and a successor of the Lunder House. His name is Zickert. He courteously offers to guide her around the academy in Princess Maria's absence. Alfana, though appreciative, declines and reminds him not to use her name without permission. He is taken aback, bows in apology, and walks away in disappointment. As laughter ripples through the classroom, Kanata senses the sting behind it. To him, it feels like commoners mocking a noble who made a fool of himself. Watching this, he reflects that this is what happens to those who act with too much pride. It's pitiful. But there is no time to dwell on it. The next class is outside. As soon as they reach the field, Alfana steps forward and releases her water splash. The spell is executed with precision and overwhelming force, hitting its mark flawlessly. Everyone watching is stunned. Her talent surpasses all expectations. Some even begin to believe she might be more powerful than Princess Maria. To them, her placement in S-class makes no sense, and they start to wonder why she hasn't been placed even higher. Many of them resolve to try and get on her good side. Kanata watches silently, realizing that in noble society, pleasing others and forming strategic bonds is part of one's duty. Nobles cannot afford to live solely for themselves. His name is called Next. He is instructed to step forward. As he begins to move, Alfana quietly tells him to do his best. Her words take him by surprise. He wonders if she actually noticed him since she told him to give it his all. The thought that such a beautiful girl said something to him stirs something within, and he tells himself that he has to respond with effort. But he also reminds himself not to overdo it like last time. He launches his own water splash, putting all his strength into it. The spell lands successfully, and even the instructor appears impressed. Yet the surrounding students glare at him, unable to hide their jealousy. They whisper among themselves, calling him a lowly commoner and growing more hateful. Hearing these remarks, Kanata understands that it's the same old pattern. He decides it's better to ignore them, but Alfana steps forward. She demands to know who used the words filthy peasant. She admits that when Princess Maria had spoken of such behavior, she thought it was just a joke. But now she is shocked to see that nobles in this academy truly do insult commoners. She explains that the magic just performed wasn't brute force, it was refined, balanced, and elegant. Even the instructor watches in silence, inwardly acknowledging the quality of the spell, recognizing it as something that could easily be mistaken for the work of a frightening prodigy. Alfana firmly reminds everyone that dismissing one's own flaws and attempting to demean someone born with genuine talent is inexcusable regardless of status. She tells them that nobility alone doesn't make someone special and advises them to learn to feel shame. After everything, Kanata finds the scolding from the Sanus deeply satisfying. Yet a part of him wonders if it was perhaps too much. Soon, the very students who were scolded begin to surround him. From their expressions, it's clear they blame him for the lecture they just received from both the princess and the saintess. He realizes that they are angrier with him than anyone else. But in the end, he thinks he didn't even get a proper conversation with her. Then again, he has his viewers, so he's fine. He begins considering what topic to cover in his stream that night. He decides to go live again until morning, just like before. Then, unexpectedly, Alfana appears and comments that it looks like someone else was already visiting before her. Seeing her standing there, he is completely stunned. He sees her and is left surprised, but she gently tries to reassure him, explaining that she was only planning to explore the school grounds a little and ended up here. Stepping closer, she reminds him that they've met again. Looking at her, he asks seriously if she is the same girl he met in town. She confirms it and tells him there's no need to be so cautious with her. She encourages him to speak casually, just as he did the first time they met. He eventually agrees, saying that he'll talk normally from now on. She thanks him happily, but he quietly thinks that being alone with her in this place is nothing but trouble. Still, he's relieved that no one else is around to see them together. Suddenly, she gently takes his hand and sincerely asks if it's all right to call him by his name. She adds that she would like him to call her by hers. Hearing this, he's taken aback and hesitates, reminding her that earlier she didn't seem to like being called by her name. But she assures him that this time she truly wants him to. She then tries to express how lucky they are to have met again, and asks him if he can grant her this wish. With her insisting so much, he finally says her name. Hearing it, she becomes extremely happy and blushes, then begins calling him by his name as well. Kanata finds her behavior strange, but realizes that she really is adorable. He starts to feel that both her personality and her appearance are beautiful. She seems almost too perfect. On the other hand, Alfana is overwhelmed with happiness, thinking about the fact that he called her by her name. To her, it feels like he has basically agreed to marry her. She begins to think seriously about it. Just as it is said that love is blind, people obsessed with something often exaggerate even the smallest gestures. As soon as she comes out of her thoughts and opens her eyes, he notices and asks if she's awake. She tells him she just got a little sleepy. The next day, as Kanata searches for a place to sit in the academy, he wonders where he should go. Upon entering the classroom and seeing her already there, he feels that this is exactly what he expected from her. Just as he begins to take his seat, he notices the surprised expressions of the other students. Maria suddenly enters the classroom, and everyone wonders why she is there since she's supposed to be in the SSS class. As soon as she arrives, she calls Alfana over. Seeing her, Alfana realizes it's been a while since they last saw each other. Maria suddenly grabs her cheeks and says she's full of surprises. Alfana cheerfully apologizes. Watching the scene, Kanata feels as though two stars have come together. Everyone else seems unable to believe what they're witnessing, and to them, the sight is dazzling, a pair of unmatched beauties standing together. Alfana then seriously tells her that she only wanted to experience what a student's life is like, nothing more. To the rest of the class, both girls appear like celestial beings, and the students feel as if they've been blessed just to see them. It seems difficult to approach them, and many wish they could speak to them. Some even hope to be included in their little world. Observing all of this, Kanata feels that these two are used to being the center of attention. It seems completely normal for them. Seeing them together, he senses that they don't take much interest in their surroundings. He thinks that if someone were to speak to them, they would respond, but their expressions feel somewhat false. He begins to think seriously about whether the smile Alfana gave him yesterday and the warning Maria gave him were just his imagination. He wonders if he's overthinking everything. After all, she did get angry for his sake. But watching them enjoy themselves together, he begins to feel jealous. Their closeness makes him feel lonely. He resolves that he too should try to make at least one friend. He tries starting a conversation with the boy sitting behind him by asking what he ate for dinner the night before. But the boy angrily tells him to go away. Kanata realizes that they truly hate him. The boy thinks that just because Katana's good at magic, he is acting arrogant because of it. He decides to nap for a while, thinking he'll ease his heart later by talking to his listeners. Meanwhile, Maria notices this and is lost in her thoughts. Seeing this, Alfana seriously asks if something is wrong. Maria reassures her that it's nothing. At the same time, in a certain noble's mansion within the Zondert Empire, some events begin to unfold. Inside the mansion, the owner tells a man that he has a mission for them. The man accepts the mission. The person wearing a mask shaped like a bug is called Crow, asks his master who the target of the new request is. The master, calm and composed, tells him not to rush. Meanwhile, news of the incident begins circulating within the academy. Kanata listens quietly while sitting still in class. His classmates talk about Crow, expressing disbelief that someone like that actually exists. Some say he was seen in Mithras recently, which is only 100 kilometers away, and the realization unsettles them. They wonder if they could become targets, but then reassure themselves that they haven't done anything to deserve punishment. They take comfort in belonging to clean families. Hearing their conversation, Kanata recalls that in this world, crows refer not to birds but to assassins. He realizes that even his listeners haven't been helpful on this topic, as everyone assumed it was just an urban legend. But now he begins to consider that Crow might truly exist, although he reminds himself that it has nothing to do with him. Elsewhere, Crow's master explains that no one would ever imagine a legendary figure like him being in the Zandert Empire. But Crow, indifferent, says the charade has gone on long enough and demands the target's name. Crow explains that their time is not to be wasted. The master, annoyed, raises his voice and questions what he just heard. In that instant, Crow appears behind him. Shocked, the master asks when he arrived, but Crow responds coldly, refusing to repeat himself. Terrified, the master pleads and agrees to explain. He reveals the name of the target, Streamer. He says the man manipulates peasants with his words and even influences the laws of nations. Because of this, his slave trading business is suffering losses. He claims the streamer talks about human rights during his broadcast, and those words have reached even royal courts. Before he can continue, Crow interrupts, saying he understands. The master, though dissatisfied, tries to stay composed. He mentions that there is no deadline since the target hides his identity, and the nobles will need time to trace him. He says he is relying on Crow and offers the huge amount as a preliminary payment. Crow declines. This surprises the master, who then asks whether he plans to take full payment after the job is done or if he is overconfident. But Crow tells him that he can no longer accept the request. Confused and alarmed, the master demands an explanation. In that moment, Crow turns back and strikes with his sword. The master's head is severed instantly. Crow, now alone, reaffirms to that they can no longer accept such jobs, and for that reason, refuses the payment. That's all there is to it. Hearing the noise, a maid rushes over. Seeing her master's corpse, she begins screaming and calls for help. Crow quickly flees, flying away. Once he reaches a secluded location, they decide to remove the disguise. As the costume comes off, a young woman steps out from it. She reflects that anyone requesting a job like killing the streamer must be a vile person. Her phone suddenly rings, and at the same time, the streamer appears and asks if his audience has been waiting. As it turns out, even the legendary assassin turned out to be one of the streamer's listeners. She is so happy hearing the streamer's voice that she cannot contain her voice. The city is thrown into a stir, with people wondering what kind of bird could produce such a sound. During his stream, Kanata talks about his daily routine. The girl realizes that ever since she began listening to him, her nights have become peaceful. His voice feels beautiful and soothing. She finds herself wishing he would one day scold her for being a useless assassin who doesn't work at night. Lost in thought, she misses the part where he finishes talking about his routine. The realization that she didn't hear his voice makes her feel regretful. Meanwhile, Kanata tells his viewers that he tried to make friends, but every time he spoke to someone, they told him to stay quiet. He sincerely asks his viewers if they could comfort him just a little. He says even a small bit of consolation would be enough. Hearing this, the girl notices his voice trembling. The sound saddens her deeply. She thinks that if he had spoken to her, she would never have thought of hurting him, even though she just killed a noble. Elsewhere, Maria mutters to herself, questioning what those people think of themselves. She believes they should be grateful just to have heard his voice. Shruza reflects that she often hears the same thing from people who dream of becoming heroes whenever they arrive. Alfana promises herself that next time she'll do a better job. Then, with a smile, he admits he was joking as far as he was sad. Kanata then asks his audience how his acting was. He shares that he used a water bottle to make the sound of crying, but everything else was genuine. The audience begins commenting, expressing concern. Reading their messages, he feels emotional and thanks them for caring. Someone comments asking how he wants to deal with those fools, suggesting a suitable punishment. The girl on the rooftop becomes delighted, realizing he read her message. Kanata goes on to explain that, instead of retaliating, he wants to try talking to them more openly. He says that even if they don't become friends yet, maybe they can at least have a conversation. To the girl, these words sound graceful and dignified. She writes another comment, asking if he would tell them if anyone treats him even worse. He promises he will, adding that if it happens, he hopes they will all comfort him. Seeing this unfold, the girl begins to walk away, thinking that this is truly what he wants. She understands now that if all this is for his sake, then she would eliminate anyone no matter who it is. Meanwhile, Kanata feels a deep appreciation for how kind his listeners really are. Inside a government-sanctioned brothel, a man bids farewell to a girl named Kana. She thanks him sincerely for his visit. Once he leaves, Kana goes to her boss, who informs her with a serious tone that her performance has been excellent. He even changed her seating arrangements as a gesture of appreciation. She thanks him, sharing that the customers seemed satisfied today. The boss agrees, stating it's what he expects from their top seller. With confidence, she replies that it's natural they were satisfied she served them, and she's the best worker in the establishment. She then asks the boss to give her some privacy. The boss replies seriously that if he didn't have work, he'd also like to hear the streamer's voice. As he walks away, he remarks that maybe next time will be his lucky moment. She enters her room and begins to undress, unaware that her boss is secretly watching her from outside. He observes her deep red hair, blue eyes, and her alluring figure's snow-white skin and voluptuous curves that only enhance with age. When she notices him, she shouts at him to leave. Later that night, she reflects that the day was fulfilling. This life and this work has become everything to her. She thanks the streamer in her thoughts, calling him her lord. The time for his stream draws near. The streamer goes live and asks his viewers if he kept them waiting. Kana insanely answers that he did. His voice reaches far across princesses, demon kings, saintesses, assassins, and now even a prostitute. His words travel further than his presence ever could. He begins the stream by telling his audience that a lot happened today. Hearing this, Kana grows concerned, wondering if something bad occurred. She wishes she were beside him, willing to give her entire self to him without hesitation. Holding her phone to her chest, she murmurs that he is the savior for people like her. He brought salvation. She was born in the slums, far removed from her current life. To survive, she turned to nightlife work, gradually rising to her current position. Later, she and the other women sit together discussing their futures. Though they are still young, they worry about aging. They fear that once their youth fades, customers will stop coming, and they'll be forced to return to the slums. Kana admits she doesn't want to imagine such a future, and recalls the relief of finally finding a good master to work under. Their concerns are interrupted by the conversation of nearby men. One of them expresses relief at learning the truth before getting engaged, having discovered that the woman he considered was a harlot. His companion agrees, stating he broke things off immediately. If he had married someone like her, his family name would have been ruined. Kana and the others listen in silence, reminded once again that society views them as less than human, like spoiled food. With heavy hearts, they begin walking home. At their return, the boss greets them warmly and advises them to ignore such talk, suggesting they refocus on the streamer. Holding his phone, he eagerly waits for the next broadcast. Meanwhile, the streamer becomes visibly upset after receiving a comment implying girls don't like him for certain reasons. He questions how people could reach such conclusions. Watching him, the girls and their boss find it amusing. He begins reading a letter from someone claiming to be a clean person. The letter describes seeing a filthy woman used by men, a woman the writer calls trash, hoping she won't pollute the city. He asks for his opinion. Kana and the others are disheartened by the words. They realize that no matter what they do, they are still seen the same way. But they remind each other not to let such voices define them. They are climbing out of hell and must keep going. The streamer responds to the letter with anger. He questions who the writer thinks he is to speak that way. He defends the dignity of such work, calling it valid labor, and reminds everyone that many who do it are simply trying to survive. He urges people to stop insulting others because of their profession. He explains that any job that saves a life deserves respect. Slowly, comments flood in, agreeing with him and supporting his stance. He continues saying he wishes for a world where such workers are treated with justice and dignity, a world where they can feel proud for surviving. Tears well up in Kana's eyes. No one has ever spoken up for them like this before, and now his voice is echoing across the kingdom. For people like her, this becomes a turning point. Slowly, public perception begins to shift. Women like her start living more peacefully. She doesn't know about other lands, but here, something has changed. She silently wishes she could thank him in another way one day. Elsewhere, the streamer tells his viewers that he tried to speak to some people today, hoping to make friends, but was silenced before he could finish a sentence. He calls himself pathetic. Suddenly, Boss swings open a door and enters the room, apologizing for barging in and mentioning that a matter from the previous day needs to be discussed, but is shocked to find Kana raging like a demon. She wonders who those people are to insult him. Everyone who admires him shares the same fury. Comments pour in, questioning who those people think they are. Some say they'll never forgive them. One even suggests they should be exiled. It quickly becomes a subject of endless discussion. A week later, he walks along a street, hungry. He wonders if the bread vendor is still selling and heads that way. A girl suddenly greets him, calling it a strange coincidence. She confirms his name and Kanata is left stunned. Standing before him is Princess Maria. He asks if she's really okay being out alone. She reassures him, saying her attendant is probably panicking, but she isn't worried. Kanata insists this isn't something to be taken lightly. He turns to leave, but she stops him and asks if he's free, then suddenly hugs him. He confirms that he is and asks why she wants to know. She suggests they go for a walk. He hesitates. He wants to go, but if someone sees them, it could ruin everything for him at school. He doesn't know what to do. Suddenly, Maria hears a sound and asks if he hears it too. Grabbing his hand, she runs toward the source. They arrive to find a man holding Kana. She pleads for release, identifying herself as a noble and insisting she shouldn't be treated this way. But she is desperate, begging to be let go, saying she doesn't care. She just wants to be free. Seeing the scene, it seems to them as if they never get a moment of peace. Both of them rush forward and tell the noble to stop and let the girl go. As they told the man to release the girl, he furiously turns toward Maria, remarking that she herself is quite beautiful. When he tries to grab her hand, she slaps him hard. The man grows more enraged and threatens to kill her. In that moment, Kanata steps in calmly, tells him to settle down, and uses magic to restrain him. The man is stunned, unable to understand what kind of magic has left him completely immobile. Kanata, aware that the spell's effect will wear off soon, instructs him to remain calm. Maria, observing everything, begins to praise him and encourages him to maintain his spell as she goes to call others. As the man lies on the ground, he questions whether Kanata understands what he's just done and warns that if he's a commoner, he should know the consequences. Kanata remains unfazed and replies that he doesn't care. Kana seriously asks Kanata who is and wonders aloud whether the girl with him earlier is truly a princess. As Kanata looks at her again, he notes her beauty and begins to think that if she is this beautiful, then the men of this world are not to be trusted. He turns to her and asks with concern whether she is all right and if the man harmed her. She assures him she's fine and explains that the man was pursuing her to purchase her. Kanata is confused by this and starts asking further questions. The man interrupts from the ground, saying he won't understand at his age. He explains that the woman is a lowly person and that he offered to take her in because he liked her, but she dared to refuse. Kana, hearing this, seriously questions who would be pathetic enough to obsess over such a thing. Kanata steps forward and questions what the man thinks he's saying, asking why he discriminates based on her profession. He points out that what he said isn't a crime, but chasing a woman down and dragging her into an alley certainly is. Kana continues to watch him in surprise, taking in his tone and words. Just then, a sound comes from behind them. and a group of civilians arrives. The man takes advantage of the moment, grabs his leg, and attempts to convince the civilians that he is a noble and Kanata is a thief. He promises them rewards if they help him. Mariah intervenes and tells the man that she is the one who gathered the people and informed them that a brave student had saved a woman from a corrupt noble. She then apologizes to Kanata for making him wait. At that moment, his magic wears off. The man begins to move and tries to flee with urgency, running toward Maria in anger. But before he can reach, guards emerge. The man then, with seriousness, questions why the royal guards are present. Kanata responds that the woman before him is not just any noble, she is the third princess. The man is left in disbelief. Maria, now relieved, approaches Kanata and tells him that because he kept the man restrained, she was able to arrange the arrest. She thanks him, and he feels genuinely happy. Maria explains that this was just an attempt, and that for now it's best to send them back. At the same time, a soldier approaches her and informs her that they would like her advice regarding future patrol arrangements. Maria agrees and tells them to proceed. Kanata feels that at least one task is now complete, but also senses that the patrols are going to become stricter. At that moment, Kana appears and thanks Kanata for his help earlier. She takes his hand and expresses her gratitude for accepting her and her work. Kanata tells her it was nothing. As she looks at his hand, she notices a wound the same one shown during his stream and is surprised. With a serious tone, she asks for his name. When he tells her, she pauses and then tells him that she has spent time with many men and is confident in her ability to observe people. Kanata politely listens, and she gives him her name, asking him to use it the next time they meet. She tells him that if he shows her name at the reception desk of the brothel where she works, they will let him meet her immediately. She adds that if he is ever tired or needs relief, she will help him without charging anything. Kanata is taken aback, and she turns to leave, mentioning that she has work to do. Still in shock, Kanata is then approached by Maria, who holds onto him and remarks that the girl is quite sharp. He is further startled by how close she comes to him. As they stand there, he makes her realize that the sun is setting and suggests she return home. Maria agrees that it's time. He starts to walk away, saying they should be cautious on the way back, and that they will meet again tomorrow. Suddenly, she stops him and asks seriously why he didn't invite her to walk with him since the path is the same. Kanata explains that if someone from school sees them together, it'd become a big problem. Hearing this, she feels that if he had been the streamer, he would have definitely protected her, and she wonders if she's just overthinking, as they are quite alike. The man is arrested, and the soldiers inform him he will be sent home tomorrow. For now, he is told to sit quietly and calm down. Inside the jail, he grows furious and cannot understand what just happened. He reflects that if it had only been the princess, he could have tolerated it, but that commoner boy is a different matter. He feels humiliated. However, he knows his name and the general location of where he lives. This much will be enough to track him down later.
Here I am, know it's been a while. I was in denial about my love. Here I stand, I know I walked away.